we're going to do the demo for the mechanical lift transfer. So now we've entered the room and we're going to do the demo for the mechanical lift transfer. It is a two-person process. So of course we're coming into the room, the bed is down in a low lock position. I'm going to bring the bed up to a good working height for Angie and I. If a resident only requires one person for repositioning, then one person can really apply the sling. But if they're a person that requires more assistance to turn, for two people for repositioning, then two of you would apply the sling. But once you start the process of lifting a resident, it is always a two-person process. We're going to flip the rails out of the way. I'm going to check with my partner if this is a good height for her. Is that good for you, Angie? Now I'm about to get Denise ready to turn her over on her side towards Angie. So the legs, you can either cross over at the ankles or you can put one up and like this. But we do find oftentimes with residents, they find it difficult to do that. So we usually do this. We'll put this arm over. What this does is sort of start the body to shift and turn that way. I'm going to get the pad in nice and close, and then I'm going to push Denise over like this, and she's over on her side. Angie's going to hold her in place. Now I'm going to apply the sling. What I do is sort of divide the sling down the center. The label is always to the outside. You're going to put it on with the cutout at the top of the coccyx. That way when the sling is applied and when Denise is lifted, the head is not cutting her in half. So we're going to pop that side of the sling over. I'm going to tuck this part in. Like that. And now Denise is going to roll back towards me. And Angie is going to proceed to turn her towards me so that she can bring her side of the sling out.
Can you hold on?
Angie's turning her towards me. I'm going to hold her in place. She's now smoothing out the sling. And we'll get Denise to roll back. And what we're looking for is symmetry, which is having equal amounts of material on each side of the resident, because that way they won't shift when they're lifted. This particular sling style, there are two setups. One is a hammock, and a hammock is when you bring the leg straps all the way through this way, and then Angie would pass that one through this way, and then you would hook her up like this. The other way is individual leg and cross, which is you bring this up, and as you can tell, Angie is straightening out her pant legs because it is uncomfortable for the resident if the pant legs are all bunched up underneath of her. We bring the leg straps up. There is a hole here which you can cross, you can put through and cross the straps, or you can cross them without doing that. For today's demo purpose, we're going to do an individual leg and cross. Now, just before we start to proceed with the lift and to get her straps hooked up to the lift, what I'm looking for is to get the wheelchair semi-set up. And what I'm looking for is when Denise gets lifted and moved across is that her bum will hit the back of the chair. Because if she does, it will tilt the chair and she will slide all the way to the back, and it will be the most comfortable position for her. Now Angie is bringing the lift across the track. With sling application, usually in this facility, if it's one person for repositioning, then one person can apply the sling. But if a resident requires two people for repositioning, then two people apply the sling. Once the hookup begins, two people need to be present in the room and hooking the resident up at the same time. Part of safety is that you want to make sure that the straps are all hooked symmetrically. So whatever Angie's hooking up on her side, I'm doing the exact same on this side. I think today we're going to do long legs, short at shoulders. When you do that, it will put the person in the most upright position. Now Angie and I are going to do the sling application. So we're going to put the longest loop of the legs onto the side of the boom. Then we're going to put the blue loop on next, and as you can tell, Angie and I are hooking up the same on each side on the boom so that it is done symmetrically. Now we want to hook up the head. So I know we don't want to be shinning ourselves, so what we're going to do is we're going to lift the head of the bed, which will bring us so that we're not pulling too hard on the resin or ourselves. Angie's doing the blue loop over there, and I'm going to do the blue loop as well. That was the long at legs, short at shoulders. Head straps we always do on the longest loops because they tend to pull residents' head forward and can be very uncomfortable. Prior to the lift, Angie and I are just sizing up the sling. We're going to pull the head up so that Denise's head is nicely in the sling so that it doesn't cut her. So Angie's going to start the lifting procedure now. So just as we get a little weight on the sling, we're just going to take a minute to pull the leg straps so that they're flat, so it doesn't cut so hard into Denise's leg.
When you take the time to do that, it feels so much more comfortable for me as a resident.
We're lifting her up. What I'm looking for now, I know she's safe, is that her bum is going to hit sort of the back of the chair. And Angie's going to lift her up just a little bit more. I'm going to bring the chair over so that we have minimum air time. We're both now assisting with Denise on the front. I can tell that she's going to hit the back of the chair. Process of lowering Denise down into the chair. As she comes down, I'm going to guide her to the back of the chair. We've hit the back of the chair so she's slid all the way down. I'm getting down on my knees because it puts me in a better position for bottom mechanics. I've sucked my belly in while I'm down here to keep things in alignment. Now Angie and I are going to proceed with taking the sling straps off the boom. And I have unhooked Denise's sling from the boom. Angie is now sending it back to its charger so that it can continue charging, and it goes into a safe area within the room. Proceed with removing the sling. Of course, we know that those leg straps came up between the legs, so I'm taking mine on my side and pulling it through, and Angie's doing the same on her side. So that pulls it up in place. We're both here. If Denise has a hard time moving forward, I may move her forward and Angie may hold her in place. And I've removed the leg straps and now I'm just pulling it out in place as she holds her forward. You can sort of put it, I call it putting the sling in an accordion-like manner. I'm going to fold it all the way up like this. I'm going to move Denise forward. Angie's just going to hold her in place. I'm dropping this all the way down to the bottom of the chair. I know that that's the bottom. I'm going to bring this part of the sling out, because that's the back. I know when looking at the slings that the longest straps are the legs. I'm going to bring those down the side of the chair, and then whatever setup the legs are, you can do an individual leg or a hand.